Welcome back. So let's talk just a little bit about public funding and regional development. You know, governmental organizations don't give money to entrepreneurships just because they're trying to make people feel good about themselves, right? It's not really for that. You know, the idea, and again, those of you that watch some of my other videos already know this, you know, when you finance entrepreneurs, you get a grassroots growth, right? You know, small ventures tend to hire more employees. This is where innovative ideas come from. And you know, the governments are making the same kinds of calculations, or very similar kinds of calculations, that venture capital groups are when they decide to finance new ventures. The idea is, I hope we get to finance the next big thing. I hope we can be like Estonia and all of a sudden, you know, have Skype as something in our country, right? So when you have hopefully these home runs on one hand, you know, these big ventures, then think of all the tax revenue and all the jobs that's going to create. But by the same time, if you finance the small ventures, this is also going to be a great source of regional development. You know, I have a colleague who basically worked, she's at the University of Lancaster, and she also got a huge grant from the European Union. I want to say it was like 150 million pounds to develop Lancaster's entrepreneurship. And she used that grant at her university to hire a bunch of other entrepreneurship experts, and they basically helped restaurant, pub, hotel owners, lots and lots and lots of small businesses, and to try to get people back on their feet. And what it wound up doing is turning a region that was kind of like the Rust Belt in the UK into an area that had much less unemployment. There was more tax revenue coming around. It was good for everybody, right? So that's kind of what they're trying to do, is get that grassroots development. Okay? Because grassroots development gets people off public assistance, it gets people paying taxes. When people pay taxes, then there's more services, and their growth kind of expands exponentially. That's what they're hoping for. So, part of this stems from the cluster effect. Now, the next video in this playlist is one of my old videos on the cluster effect, and I talk more about it in that video. But the whole point of the cluster effect is that people will seek out certain areas because they can know they get, you know, all the services they want within a certain region. Classic example of the cluster effect is Silicon Valley. You've got so many computer programmers there, sure, and hardware and software people, and then there's the accountants that help, you know, or specialize in, you know, software firms, and then the lawyers that are specialized, and all the cheap housing for all the programmers, and everything is designed to support that, and that attracts customers. Because if I know that I need a computer programmer, I'm going to look in Silicon Valley first. And sure, you're thinking, you as a small-time computer programmer, I've got to compete with all these other people. But you got to remember, there's going to come a point where you start getting all the leftovers, and you can get more business too. Everybody's a winner. And then those crazy interactions that happen within, you know, these kinds of clusters where, you know, somebody from one industry, you know, starts talking to another one, and they get these cool ideas, and then brand new markets are created. That's the cluster effect. But again, I've got that in my next video. Now, there's also a lot of financial support from public institutions. Now, here in the United States, we have the federal government, and all you have to do is go to grants.gov, and you can find all sorts of help from the federal government, state governments, county governments, chambers of commerce, small business administrations. You know, these are all organizations that have pots of money that can be used to develop, you know, seed and startup businesses, but also growth businesses too. In Europe, you've got the European Commission, and we'll talk about some of those programs in the next video. You also have to think about smart money as opposed to dumb money, right? Smart money means you basically need just the right amount in the entrepreneurial ecosystem so that you're not missing, it's not like you have so little money that you're not funding really, really good opportunities, but you don't have so much money in the entrepreneurial ecosystem that you're spending on stupid ideas, right? Because if you have too much money, there becomes a glut, and then you start financing things that are bound to fail. If you don't have enough money, then there's actually no point in trying to start anything like a cluster, even if it's a countrywide kind of cluster, because you're going to miss opportunities. So that's what we mean by smart money. And what you hope in a country is that you can get funding on the demand side and on the supply side. And this ties back into smart money. On the demand side, you hope there are enough entrepreneurially minded individuals who want to start businesses. And on the supply side, you hope you've got enough cash to finance those demand side entrepreneurs. So this is the whole kind of debate between public funding and regional development. Like I said, the next video is going to be one of my older videos. We're going to talk about clusters, and then the following video after that, we're going to look at some great examples of Europe-based public funding programs. As always, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button down below and comment down below. And for my YouTube audience, here's my question for you. What kinds of public assistance programs, or public funding programs rather, are available in your country? And do you have any experience with those? I always like to hear from my YouTube audience. Great, I'll see you in the next video.